A potential strike by Israel on Iran's oil infrastructure is reportedly leading to scrambling among the Gulf states, trying to avoid being pulled into any conflict. According to a Reuters report, they are not just trying to protect their own interests, they are also actively lobbying the US to stop Israel from taking action against Iran's oil sites. Why? Because, you see, if Israel goes through with its plans, Gulf states are worried that their own oil facilities may come under fire from Iran and its proxies if the conflict escalates. Reportedly, Gulf states have been warned by Iran that they could be next on Tehran's hit list if they allow Israel to use their airspace or military bases. Jordan, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar are reportedly refusing to let Israel use their airspace for any attack against Iran. And why is this happening right now? Because Israel has said it will respond to Iran's missile strike. Israel has vowed revenge, promising that Iran will pay dearly. Tehran has responded with its own warning. Any retaliation will trigger widespread destruction. This back and forth is not just rhetoric. It's actually laying the groundwork for a regional conflict that could drag the US into the fray. The country sitting on top of some of the world's most valuable oil reserves are reportedly terrified of what happens next. As per reports, Iran has been reaching out to its Gulf neighbors, trying to persuade them to use their influence with Washington. What is Tehran's goal, you ask? Basically, to prevent Israel from going after its oil production facilities. As per a Reuters report, during meetings last week, Iran's message to Saudi Arabia was clear. If they help Israel in any way, Tehran cannot guarantee the safety of its oil fields. Iran is not just talking to Saudi Arabia, it is reportedly reaching out to allies in Iraq and Yemen, hinting that they could also be drawn into the fight. If Saudi Arabia, the UAE or Qatar allow the country to launch strikes from their country, from their territory, the end result would be catastrophic. The Prime Minister of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, for example, on Wednesday, reportedly held talks with the Iranian Foreign Minister, Abbas Araghchi. What was the topic of conversation? Israel. In fact, Araghchi's visit was not just a friendly diplomatic stopover, it was reportedly an attempt to rally support and keep the Gulf states from getting involved in what could become a regional war. Reportedly, the fact that Saudi Arabia and Iran, longtime rivals, are even having these conversations shows just how dire the situation has actually become. Meanwhile, back in Washington, reportedly, Gulf officials are in constant communication with their US counterparts. As per reports, they are expressing deep concern about how far Israel's retaliation would actually go. We told you yesterday that US President Joe Biden and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke on this matter, a call, as per reports, described by both sides as positive. But what does that really mean? Are the US and Israel on the same page? Or will the Gulf states persuade the US in stopping Israel from attacking Iran? And then there is the OPEC, led by Saudi Arabia. The organization has reportedly enough oil reserves to compensate for any disruptions in Iranian supply. That is, if Israel's retaliation takes out some of Iran's oil infrastructure. But here's the problem. Most of that spare capacity is located within the Gulf region. And if Iran decides to retaliate against Saudi Arabia or Emirati oil facilities, the world could face a serious oil supply crisis. Comes with far-reaching implications. In fact, reports say a 2019 drone attack on Saudi Arabia's Aramco oil field wiped out over 5% of global oil supply. And there were reports that Iran was behind this attack. But you see, Iran denied any involvement. the question still remains, is the world staring down the barrel of a repeat scenario? You see, Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, the UAE all have US military bases on their soil, and as per reports, that makes them targets in the event of a war. Let's just talk about the impact of all of this on the global stage. What would it really mean? Just for perspective here, China is Iran's biggest oil customer, and if Iran's oil exports are disrupted, reports say Beijing could be forced to scramble for alternative sources. And then there is the US, of course. As per reports, if oil prices soar, it is going to hit the American economy hard. And with Kamala Harris gearing up for a tough election battle against Donald Trump, a spike in oil prices could spell disaster for her campaign at such a crucial time. As per the Defense Minister of Israel, Yoav Gallant, he has made it clear that when Israel does strike, it's going to be swift, lethal, and completely unexpected. In fact, reports say Israel has a range of options, including routing strikes through Jordan or Iraq if the countries continue to deny them access, if the Gulf states continue to deny them access. And Israel's mid-air refueling capabilities would reportedly allow their jets to bypass the Gulf airspace altogether. But there is an issue here. Reports say the Gulf states know that even if Israel finds alternative routes for its strikes, they are still at risk. A missile war could break out at any moment, and Gulf oil facilities could still be the targets, and which basically could throw the global oil supply and the world economy into chaos. The question is quite simple. Can diplomacy prevail, or is West Asia hurtling towards a scenario where even if certain countries do not want things to head that way, the situation will be inevitable? To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.